In the few years it's been on sale, the Land Rover Defender has become the brand's best-selling vehicle. Not just to regular consumers, but also bad guys in movies. They always drive these things. But they also ultimately lose all of those chases, don't they? Well, in this one, they probably won't. Welcome to another edition of Important, where American Cars and Racing checks out import vehicles like this one that aren't made by American brands, but are important in their own way, or at least interesting. This one's a little bit of both. The latest generation of the Land Rover Defender has been on sale since 2020, and this is the wildest one they've sold yet. It's called the Defender 110 Octa and even gets its own logo. It's supposed to look like a diamond because diamonds are tough, and this was designed to be tough. Now that's not enough to make a vehicle important, but there are other reasons this one is, and it has very close ties to one of America's favorite trucks. The Defender is one of the few direct competitors for the Jeep Wrangler and the Ford Bronco. General Motors doesn't make one, Tesla doesn't make one, while the Rivian R1S is actually kind of close to this. It's electric, so not really the same thing. The only other models out there that it brings to mind are the Toyota 4Runner, Toyota Land Cruiser, and Lexus GX, which, like Land Rover, is meant to be a little more upscale. And then there's the Mercedes G-Wagon, which is about this size and a real deal truck, but not one you often see in places like this, although occasionally they stray off-road. But all that competition aside, the Octa can trace its roots back to the first F-150 Raptor, believe it or not. And I'm not just talking about the fact that Ford owned Land Rover from 2000 to 2008. No, you see, the Raptor was a special project at Ford, headed up by its SVT Special Vehicles team, which was also responsible for the 2004 to 2006 Ford GT. You see, there was an engineer at Ford back then who was on the GT team and essentially invented the idea of the F-150 Raptor by the name of Jamal Hamidi. And that Raptor, of course, begat two more generations of F-150 Raptor, the Ranger Raptor, and the Bronco Raptor. And pretty much got rammed to do the TRX. So really started the factory off-road high-performance pickup and SUV scene. But a few years ago, he left Ford to go work for Jaguar Land Rover and head up their new SVO Special Vehicle Operations team, which was basically the same idea as SVT, which later became Ford Performance, which recently changed its name to Ford Racing. It's a skunk works within the company, tasked with coming up with the coolest special projects. So despite the fact that Land Rover is a British brand and the Defender is actually assembled in Slovakia, we're going to give it honorary U.S. citizenship for today. It's definitely a vehicle we're glad to see on sale in the United States because it is quite bonkers. This is a couple inches wider than the other Defenders. In fact, it's so wide they had to put 3 amber marker lights on the grille, just like the Raptor has. That's a law, so people know a wide load's coming through. And the reason it's been tailored that way is because its special sauce is a lot like the Raptor's special sauce, the suspension. This has a setup that Land Rover refers to as the 6D suspension system. Along with a wider track, it uses adjustable air springs and computer-controlled dampers, which are interconnected through hydraulic lines. This doesn't have anti-roll bars. It can be set so one shot goes up, the other one gets pushed down, vice versa, side to side, to keep the body from pitching and rolling while preserving all of its wheel articulation for when you need it, and this has more than the regular Defenders. The air suspension can also be jacked up into an off-road mode that increases ground clearance from 9.6 inches to 12.7 inches. And in case you use it all up, there's plenty of underbody protection. And when it's on its tippy toes, it can wade through nearly 40 inches of water. Yeah, this is very much a tall boy, and the ride height isn't the only thing that's been boosted. While you can get the Defender with a 518 horsepower 5-liter V8, this one has a 4.4-liter twin turbocharged V8 with 626 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. Land Rover actually gets it from BMW, and believe it or not, it's a hybrid, although the electric motor's more about giving a little more oomph than fuel efficiency. It's actually rated at 17 miles per gallon combined. The Land Rover does get unique intake and exhaust systems, its own calibration, and even has a dry sump oiling system, which is something you usually find on vehicles designed for the track. And I'll tell you why in a bit. It's also purely coincidental to this story that before Ford owned Land Rover, BMW did. So it's kind of come full circle, even if its logo's a diamond. well, in a circle. And you might have to sell a few diamonds to buy one of these because the starting price is $160,150. And the top of the line Octa Black is $170,550. This one happens to be a limited release edition one that's similar to the Octa Black, but has a few of its own features and checked out for $170,220. Along with the edition 1 logo, it features this crushed carbon fiber trim, unique 20-inch wheels with all-terrain tires, and a very nifty ultra fabric upholstery for its high-back seats. Aside from the upholstery and some more crushed carbon fiber trim, the interior is much the same as any Defenders. Has digital displays for the instrument cluster and infotainment system, a useful shelf built into the dashboard, and plenty of storage in the center console. Plus a refrigerator under the armrest. Love those. The Defender is mid-size but has decent second row space for a 6'1" passenger to fit pretty comfortably. And behind that, a 34 cubic foot cargo space. Access to a swing out door that could support the spare tire. The infotainment system has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone integration, and below it you get this pistol grip style gear selector and these multifunctional knobs that are used for the climate control system and other things. Now the seats don't just have this cool upholstery which gives them a technical feel and is very grippy, but what Land Rover calls the body and soul seat. They have speakers built into them that you can turn on to vibrate along with the music like a subwoofer rocking the whole car. And when I first tried it on the highest setting, it was honestly a little bit annoying, so I turned it off. But then after a few minutes, I started missing it. So I tried it again on the lowest setting, and it's perfect. I haven't shut it off since. Now, I'd love to demonstrate that for you, but the music rights would probably put us out of business. Fortunately, this has a wellness setting with its own music and vibration system that's supposed to make you feel better when you're just chilling out in the vehicle. So let's give that a shot. This setting is called Invigorate. The seat is definitely vibrating. I'm gonna knock it down now to Glow. No, this one's called Serene. Kind of serene. I think I'm gonna turn the volume down. It's a little better. And let's give Calm a shot. Oh, little drum coming in there. Just when I was chilling out. I can see using this if I'm sitting around in the parking lot waiting for my kid to finish soccer practice, but I know a better way to feel good in this vehicle. So what's unusual about this for a high-performance off-road SUV is that SVO didn't just bring it to places like this to play in the sand and Moab to learn how to rock crawl. It took it to the Nürburgring with off-road tires on it. And it really is fantastic on the street, and not just fantastic for an off-road vehicle. It's just good. This truly is an all-terrain high-performance SUV, natural or man-made terrain. Nevertheless, this suspension is something out here. I might look like I'm getting banged around, but I'm not getting beat up. And it feels so under control. And even when you find a smooth spot and start whipping it a little bit, it doesn't feel tippy. I mean, this thing is about as tall as an NBA center, and I'm not afraid it's gonna fall over. That might have to do with the fact that it's about as wide as it is tall, pretty much square if you look at it from straight ahead. And all that was very intentional. The wide track, the long travel suspension, they really wanted this to be able to do anything. And the way the suspension works is astonishing. You can come around a fast curve with the body under control and then start driving over whoops, and it just limbers up like the suspension's made out of rubber, and then firms things up again once you start hitting the gas. If I wanted to cover the full variety of surfaces in most SUVs and trucks, I'd have to keep hitting the button to disconnect the front sway bar, assuming they had disconnecting front sway bars. It's astonishing how well this walks over these bumps. I've been here with big, burly off-road trucks that would be bottoming out at this speed. Speaking of speed on pavement, this will do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds and has a restricted top speed of 130 miles an hour with the all-terrain tires. The base Octa comes with 22-inch wheels and all-season tires and is unlocked to do 155. This actually has a quicker steering ratio than the other Defenders. And it's incredibly responsive, turns like a hummingbird. Interestingly, the suspension setup is very similar to the one that McLaren uses in its supercars, which definitely are for off-road. At least not yet. I've heard they are finally working on an SUV. And this is a very real SUV, even though it has a unibody platform and a fully independent suspension. It does have a 2-speed transfer case with a low range and a locking rear differential. And thankfully, a 360-degree camera system that's very helpful getting this wide body through tight spaces. It even virtually shows you what's underneath the vehicle and has this wild 3D view. It's not actually as helpful, but looks really cool. One way to put all that power and torque to good use is by towing. This is rated for up to 8,200 pounds. Of course, my only question is how many people that spend 160, 170 grand on one of these are going to drive it like this or in an even more extreme environment? Because you can definitely do it. But when you experience all the capability this vehicle has and really consider the work they put into it, the price is entirely justified. I mean, this is not a high volume vehicle. Hopefully they're actually going to make a profit even at that price. But for some people that price may be a catch-22. You spend all that money to get one of the most awesome SUVs on the planet and then are afraid to use it because you don't want to break it. And even I feel that way about it. I really wanted to take this to my rock crawling place, but anything can happen and I just didn't want to take a chance of banging it up. Similarly, while I know this can jump, I've seen people do it. I'm a little hesitant today. Don't just want things to go horribly wrong, but also don't want to get stuck out here if they do. Nevertheless, can't help myself from trying a little one. One that high, but 4 wheels in the air counts. As far as the power of this engine is concerned, it's kind of weird to say it, but it doesn't feel like too much. We live in a world where 626 horsepower is just right. At least in something like this. Sometimes I wish it were a little louder, but I'm sure the local fauna does not.